Hello and welcome to coverage of the Sunset Six, one of my favorite bets. It combines the last three races from Gulfstream with the last three races at Santa Anita in a $1 minimum, 15% takeout pick six bet that's had a tendency to carry over, giving you another shot at your money should you not hit it. But hopefully we're going to hit it today on this Saturday. We kick things off looking at Gulfstream Park. Peter Thomas Fornatal and Jonathan Kinchin. JK, who do you like to kick off this week's Pick Six Sunset version?
Yeah, I'm going to use 5, 7, and 8. The 5 lure him in, obviously. Got a little ambitious last time trying the Pacific Classic. The races prior to that really do put this one in the mix, but I don't quite trust the horse. Sometimes a trip like that, ambition like that, can have its effects. We'll see what happens there. Also, the horse could be a little bit overbet off of a class drop like that. The 7 Lightning Tones ran extremely well on the barn change. Second start, for the new connections. Ran well last time, closing well. Got a nice figure that day. One that I wanted to keep in the mix. And then Con Campagna, another one who's probably better going a little bit shorter. But there's also the opposite argument that maybe the stretch out would kind of allow that horse to kind of run a little slower early, not have as much out of the tank. And then Hades I'll use as a B, a horse that we saw on the Triple Crown Trail back in the day. Has seemed to be going in the wrong direction, but it's hard to argue with past talent like that. I'll use that one as a B. So 5, 7, 8 as A's, and the 3 as a B.
We got the same 5 horses. And nice job. Better Italian pronunciation than the last time you tried it on these airwaves with Con Campagna. I just thought was a candidate to be the best speed. The numbers fit. Hades, the old class horse, I had as an A. You know, it's your Holy Bull winner from, was it 23 at this point? I also thought it was a tricky trip last time and that the representative effort would put right there. Don't have much to add about the 5 and the 7. I listed them as Bs, but wouldn't argue with the idea of upgrading. Hopefully one of those 4 will win and get us alive, surviving to stakes action coming up. Florida Bred Stakes in race number 11, where we're going 7 furlongs on the dirt. This was a race where I thought that Camagol, the 7, might get the right stalk and pounce trip, has stakes form. And, you know, that counts for something, even if it's not the best stakes form you've ever seen. I thought that Hawk, the 10 runner, ran inefficiently when you look at that pace line last time behind Wooten. And that was just this horse's debut. So maybe he could build off that. And I like the fact that we know Hawk can pass horses. Wooten himself could be the best speed. I wanted to keep that one as well. 7, 10, and 8 for me. What are your numbers?
Yeah, I'm spreading like crazy in here. 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think when you have these 2-year-olds, there's a lot of changes that can happen. There's a lot of horses that can, you got to think a lot of their performances came against other maidens. They got loose. It was a bad group. There's just not enough form in a spot like this where they all look the same to try to differentiate who's who. 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for me. I guess that the 7 Camagol with that form of running well in the Saratoga Special. I thought enough of the horse off the maiden win to bring up to run in a race like the Saratoga Special. But at the same time, it's not one I can necessarily trust though. So I'm going to spread like crazy in here and some skinnier opinions as we go along.
One more at Gulfstream Park. 2-year-old fillies going the flying 5 furlongs. I really thought that I didn't see a lot in firsters I liked. I was going to try to trust the form line of the 3 Lucky Win Coco and the 4 Time for Peace. They come out well here on figures. I'm going to say, hey, that's the key race that you want to be looking at for this. I'm going to go 3 and 4. What did you think?
Yeah, look, I want an experienced horse and a first-time starter. The 3 Lucky Win Coco is the one with the experience I like the most. I like that synthetic race last time. And then the 7 Slippers. It's lucky when you get down to Gulfstream at Saratoga, Santa Anita, you're able to look at these works on XBTV. And I looked at Slippers' last work on the synthetic, and it was pretty darn impressive. Worked with the horse drawn outside of him, Eternal Mandate, and Slippers worked better. So give me the experienced horse and the talented horse, 3, 7, and we'll head out west and see if we can't finish this thing off.
What would 10 years ago Jonathan Kinchin say if he knew that you were looking at workouts now? This is amazing. You used to rely on other people for that.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know a lot. When they work by themselves, I can't tell if it's dang arrogate in sovereignty or if it's some 10 claimer if they work alone. if they work in company, then I can play the game of comparison. That's the one
Yeah.
thing I'm at least smart enough to pull that one off.
We take our dinner break and we resume with Santa Anita's 8th race. Make sure you check out the full wagering menu here. So many good bets out at Santa Anita. Late turf pick 3 with that $3 minimum, one in particular that I like. But there's a load of options on the wagering menu. We resume here with something near the bottom. I think it is the bottom. Maiden 20s, fillies from 3 to 5, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I thought Tiger Fire looked like the best speed and was taking a significant drop, one I wanted to press. And then the logical alternative, who I didn't like quite as much, might do a 1A, 1B thing here, was the 9 Ride Elbow Ranch. Just a very logical alternative, also dropping. That was a fast pace last time against a little better. And this one did show ability previously against maiden special weights. I don't know. Maybe I'm splitting hairs and they should both be A's, but I had it 6 and 9. You with me or you want to bring in something else?
Yeah, 3, 6, 8 for me. I agree with you on the 6. The 8 also has shown a little bit of early speed. And when you're dealing with this level of horse, I just want at least just give me a sliver of talent. And I think the 6 and the 8 have shown at least a little bit. And then the 3 Moonlit Courage, I wanted to have a horse that has been single digits on a couple of occasions. Hasn't really done a ton of running, but has shown just at least a little bit of speed in Omaha Beach for Richard Mandela. 3, 6, 8 for me to try to get this thing started at Santa Anita.
Race number 9 is the featured Lure Stakes with 80,000 in the pot. We're going a mile on the turf. This was one of my strongest opinions of the races I've looked at so far this weekend. I just really like the way that Sumpter looks in this spot, going from 2 sprints to a route and the 3rd start off the layoff for a trainer in Richard Mandela, who does things very intentionally. And I think he can get a great trip at a square price with the barn mate Goliad to help set things up for him. I was all about Sumpter. If I'm going to use backups, I'm going to spread like crazy. So, if I'm going to use backups, it's almost as many I can afford, but I really like Sumpter in the Lure. Who do you like in the feature?
Geez, I didn't even use Sumpter. I was just going to use 5, 7, and 4. The 5, 7, it feels like one of those horses could get loose, or they could set it up for a horse like Endlessly, who's been going a little bit longer. I know is going to be finishing. I don't share your enthusiasm for the sprint route. To me, it feels like we got a horse that's got a little talent. We've got this stake race we can get involved in. Let's give it a shot. I feel a little bit different about it after hearing your perspective. When I looked at it at first glance, I didn't see it. I suppose I would use Sumpter as a B, just out of respect. But to me, I was 5 or 7, one of them getting loose. If they hooked up, I thought it would set up nicely for Endlessly.
Yeah, Endlessly, I just didn't trust the form he was in, essentially. I mean, he just doesn't seem, unfortunately, like he's been the same, but he does have talent and obviously in great hands. I will say a big part of the Sumpter case for me is this feels like a bit of an N. Mandela we trust play. We'll see. I appreciate the respect of throwing the horse in on the B line. Hopefully we can still be alive one way or another as we get here to race number 10, where we've got state bred optional claiming 20,000 with a non-winners of 1 condition going 6 furlongs on the dirt. When it comes to this Sunset 6 on Saturday, JK, how are we going to get paid?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 2 Crystal Clean. Ice cold single here to try to wrap this thing up. One of the good things I think about this wager is, and most wagers, I think the ability, and I don't like to force it. It's just when the situation arises where you can single in the first leg of a terrestrial like pick 5, pick 6. I think it's good because you have some options to find ways, and you can play the 6, play the pick 5 back, play the pick 4 back. But I also don't mind singling on the back end as well. Because one of the things that happens is, say that, for this situation, I love the 2. Well, if I can get alive to the 2, but nothing else really went my way, but I'm alive to the 2 for $48, right? And I spent 72 on my ticket, then I'm fine just sitting there, enjoying, watching, and not worrying about it at all. If I get 48 back off the 72, great. But the problem is that if I also then use the 6, 7, and 8, who I thought were at least interesting, now my ticket cost was $172, and I'm alive for 48. And then I'm really just annoyed because now I'm going to lose a significant more amount of money. But the opposite is that everything's gone really well, and now I'm alive to the 2, and I'm alive to the 2 for $3,800. Now I know what the game is I'm playing, And then I can take another $500 or so and bet the 6, 7, 8 in that situation, in a hedge situation where I'm actually hedging. I'm protecting myself for actually having a score rather than preemptively protecting myself and potentially just wasting money on the combinations, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. It reminds me of the Mike Maloney idea too, when you're singled in the last, if you had sort of backups you maybe could have used. The other thing you could just do is then play them over your key single in that last leg. And then you have protection if you're almost right. And if your two who you really like, and I like the two here as well, doesn't run, well, then you were just wrong anyway. And who cares? And it's just a smarter, more efficient way of using hedging principles. Really, it's not even, it is hedging, but it's like leveraging in a way where you still like maintain some leverage. I'm totally with you on Crystal Clean. Moved into that hot pace last time. Really impressive debut. I expect the two to start before that. I expect a move forward here, and I was okay standing alone. So we're both alone to the two. Mentioning Mike, I should say, I just found a box of copies of the book, Betting with an Edge. And I highly recommend you purchase one. We could probably even arrange it where Mike signs it for you. Go to inthemoneypodcast.com. You can hit up the contact page there and ask me. There's also a section on there specifically about books, but reach out to me at Looms Boldly on Twitter as well. We'll get it done. If you want your copy of Betting with an Edge, now back in print after a long time where you had to pay $300 on Amazon for it. Hopefully nobody actually did that, but maybe you did. Now you can get it for a much more reasonable fee and you can get it signed. That's it. We are going to continue. If you're on the audio side, we've got more show coming up. Actually, JK, on the audio side, you're sticking around. I'm taking a walk. And if you're on the YouTube side, make sure you check out one of our many other videos. Maybe even by the time you're watching this, some of the Monster Pods will be up. Make sure to check those out.